Hello everyone, welcome back to Gotham City. I'm your host, Levy Rozman. This is a podcast where I talk to people who live in the chess world on the 64 squares and also beyond them. And in this episode, we are staying very much within the world of chess as we speak with international master Kostya Kavutskiy. He is a full-time chess professional, both teaching and competing. He and I have been together in Weifang, China, where we were coaches at the World Cadet Championship. He is also one of the founding members of ChessDojo, which is a Twitch channel, YouTube channel, and a community of quite strong chess players all working together to push themselves to the next level. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Oh, you moved a little bit. Are you going to sit like that, or I'll slide you over a little bit? Okay.
I think I'm set like this. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, people watching on or listening on Spotify won't know that I just slid your video frame over. But I saw you were playing in Vegas. I think the 2 rounds I covered, unfortunately, I think I saw you lost, but it didn't go so well this year. From the looks of it.
Vegas was pretty rough. I lost like several games. Honestly, felt like the games were interesting, so I didn't feel like terrible at the end of the tournament. But some of them were really bad. Like the first round, I like literally just hung a piece with a tactic that I miscalculated. It's like two-move tactic that I just miscounted the material. I thought I'm winning a pawn, and then I'm actually going down a piece. And then I saved that game, which made me feel like, I have some form.
Oh my. Oh wow. Did you play a underrated child in the first round?
Yeah, definitely an underrated junior, like, 2000 FIDE, 2200 USCF, very typical. I played a lot of those in the event. And they're very tough. I do feel like they're beatable if you're in good form, but
yeah,
they're tough.
Yeah, that sounds like how one of my tournaments would start. In fact, it did. It's in 2021 Spice Cup round 1. Brian Shi, who it was pretty wild because he was a even 1900 I think rated FIDE or 2000 rated FIDE player. He just played the London against me. I never had a chance to win the game, and I tried to overcomplicate it. I was losing at some point. And the craziest thing is, Kostya, we just talked about this before we went live. We coached that kid.
Yeah, I was going to ask, was he one of your students at the World Cadet or?
No, he was Katarina's student.
Oh, okay. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was Katarina's student at the World Cadet in Weifang, China, 2019.
Yeah.
Which feels like it was 10 years ago at this point.
Right.
I mean, that is insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, sometimes and another thing, obviously, we discussed, you actually reminded me that we had seen each other earlier in 2019. We were roommates in the Spice Cup in that super weird time capsule hotel, right? In 2019 October. How did that tournament go for you? Because I quit that tournament 4 rounds in.
Yeah, I remember. You withdrew. It honestly went pretty bad for me as well. I ended up losing multiple games, tons of rating points.
Oh boy.
So yeah, wasn't a great event for me either. But yeah, it's crazy. And then the pandemic started just a couple months after that, and then now here we are. It's been pretty amazing what's happened.
Yeah, what I had mentioned to you, and I will reiterate to the audience, is that between October 2019 and March 2020, it does not feel like 5 months went by. That I don't even know what it feels like. It either feels like a day, it can feel like 5 years. It's so crazy, the whole timeline of events. What did you do during those 5 months? I mean, what did you do when COVID was hitting? I mean, you're a full-time teacher, right? Instructor still at that point.
Yeah. So I guess around 2020, when there was news of COVID, but it wasn't clear what was going to happen with it, I was I think teaching pretty frequently, some online, some in person. I was doing a little bit of streaming. Actually, another fun fact, I started ChessDojo kind of unofficially in December of 2019. Totally unrelated to the pandemic or anything. I just wanted a Discord server for people that were interested in chess improvement. And then I started doing a tiny bit of streaming. And then when the pandemic hit, I teamed up with, David and Jesse, and then we started streaming more. But yeah, pre-pandemic, it was just like nothing special. Like I'm just doing some teaching, like a little bit of streaming, kind of like see where it goes. And I was planning my next tournaments. Like I was gonna have a GM Norm round robin in like March 2020 that got canceled.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Why didn't they run the first half of the tournament and then just abandon it? Candidate style.
Honestly, like I was thinking about playing, but yeah, I think the organizer wanted to cancel, which was definitely a good call as it turned out. Yeah. And then everything got canceled. And then, yeah, it happened.
That's wild. I did not realize that ChessDojo was born maybe 3-4 months before officially pandemic happened. You made ChessDojo, like you said, Discord server for current and potentially future students. Was that kind of, or you made it more like a community, like just for?
Yeah, I was thinking, I wanted it to be. It was honestly like a service to the community. Like I wanted it to be a community of people that were interested in chess improvement that could find training partners. Because at the time, if you wanted to find a training partner, you would have to go to like the chess subreddit or like chess Twitter. And that's very hard. That's like very disorganized. And then you have like, a million people posting every week, like, hey, I'm looking to play training games with someone.
Right.
So I felt like Discord is actually just a very cool app that could be perfect for this.
I agree.
Kind of thing, to just help people find someone. Then you also have like roles. Like I felt very new to Discord at the time, but like you have roles so you can see like who's a strong player, who's titled, who's at what rating.
Right.
Of course, on Reddit, anyone can kind of write anything, as you know, and they don't necessarily have to have like a high level.
Yes.
So, yeah, I wanted it to be just kind of like a community thing, totally like not about me or anything like that. So the idea was always to invite other coaches in and kind of like be teachers like within the dojo. Yeah, then a couple months later, I teamed up with David Pruis and Jesse Cry, and they were already streaming on their own and basically doing the same thing, just like teaching, trying to make, educational content. And we realized like we're all kind of in a very similar path, and it would make sense to team up because, of course, it's really hard to stream on your own.
That makes sense. One question I wanted to ask you, it's relatively personal. You can answer how you like, but I did think about it because also in this world of kind of chess and scaling things, I've had to go through the process of starting a business with a close friend like from high school. So how was that process like? I mean, is it kind of like smooth sailing? I mean, you are the guy who made ChessDojo, right? So when you brought them on, I'm assuming you've incorporated by now. If not, we can edit that out and you'll go ahead and do that. But so yeah, how was that process like? I mean, seamless or did it come?
Yeah, actually, no, I think that's a great question. It was, I think, pretty great as far as it can go. Basically, we pretty much just wanted to share everything from the start. And so we've always just kind of split everything 3 ways. Then at a certain point, I think around a year ago, we added a 4th guy. We added like a graphics and design guy who does all of our video editing and like stream work and behind the scenes stuff. And we just gave him a full quarter. So now we just split everything 4 ways to keep it extremely simple. And I think it's great because we basically like never argue about money.
Right.
And we all just kind of try to put as much effort as we can into the project. Some weeks people will work more, people will work less. Like we have tournaments. The others, they all have kids, which I don't. So that, of course, is like huge amount of time for them that they need to spend. So I think it just works fine because we're all kind of on board, and yeah, it's like kind of going in the right place.
I appreciate you being so open and honest about that. I was saying like, you can be as vague as possible if you had to, but wow, that's that is admirable to give away a full quarter, I have to say. If it's a person who's going to be full time, of course it makes a lot of sense, right? If it's going to be a guy who's like driving along with the car or like a very important passenger, that makes a lot of sense. That's okay. Well, that answers.
No,
that
I mean,
question.
he does all the stuff that like we're not good at, like editing, designing stuff. I mean, it's very valuable for the chess players.
Yes, it is. I've edited a few of my videos, but my videos require very, very simple cutting, and I have some editing experience. I mean, any special effects, anything, it's all. It's the hardest thing for sure. Like for streamers, I mean, I'm not naive. I'm not an idiot. Like I make a video every day. None of those thumbnails are my own.
Oh yeah.
We need our help. we definitely need help.
Well, I'm surprised. I feel like I heard you saying that you edit your own podcast. Is that right?
Yeah, but like that requires 2 slices off of each end, and then I can just render it.
But then you gotta like upload it, add a title, like description, like all this stuff, or.
Oh yeah, no, but that I can do. I've had to learn the YouTube algorithm. I'm frequently brainstorming like what should be the title of this video. I'll give you an example. Like today I made a video about, the guy who stormed off at the end of the game against Steinitz.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bardeleven. And I'm like sitting there going, what do I name this video? You know what I mean? And that's like a lot. That's a lot of the process of averaging the kind of like the view count that I average, and I just have to think about what will work. And throughout the day, I check my YouTube dashboard. I see how the video is doing. I see the click-through rate. I see the comments. I probably open my YouTube Studio app more than any other app.
Right. Yeah. That app is very addicting. All the numbers they change. You have they used to have like the green arrows and like the red arrows, which are very motivating.
Yeah, now I don't know about you. For me, it's all gray arrows.
Yeah.
Wow. No, what I was told is that for me the numbers are down, but for the small channels, you guys are actually doing well. Is that not accurate? You're also down a bit, like month to month?
Lately we really haven't been doing anything on YouTube. Like we'll just like repost streams or like clips from streams, and we'll make very little like fresh content for YouTube.
That's not good.
That's kind of on purpose.
You should do that. You should.
What's that?
I said that's not good. That you should make fresh content. But
so I guess our time is very limited. Our idea is like we have this new training program that we're working on. So we've been putting a lot of work into that.
Yeah.
And my kind of vision for it is like once we kind of get that stable, then we can do more YouTube to kind of attract more people. Once we have like a ready, because we were doing a lot of YouTube and it was definitely growing. But then of course, like every single video, people are asking like, hey, like, how should I improve? What should I do? And it's like, they're always asking for classes. So we needed something to have for them, right? That we can actually like a course or something. Here we came up with a full program.
Yeah, that makes sense. That was definitely also part of the process for me. I mean, it's not really a secret. Like I sort of just decided 2020, 2021 was going to be, I was going to try to be the guy for the first half of the ratings graph, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, you've done amazing. I mean, honestly, it's been incredible.
I leveraged experience of teaching, 5 and 6 year olds with, I didn't quite apply the same words, but in terms of like the style, the humor, yeah, I mean, I think I spent a lot of time trying to understand what exactly it is that people want to watch. And I'm actively thinking about not the best way to present chess in the most technical, high quality sense, but in the way of what is the likelihood a person will stay on my video right now or will stay in chess right now, as opposed to, click off and watch the million other things. I don't get through YouTube videos. Do you finish YouTube videos? Like
rarely.
Yeah. You either finish the activity you're doing when you watch the video in the background,
right?
Or you're like, I'm kind of bored. Like, I'm gonna go watch something else.
Yeah, for me, it's usually dishes, or it's usually YouTube video plus I'm accomplishing some other task at that time. Like, yeah, maybe, or whatever, cleaning, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, no, I think I was gonna say you've done a great job of just kind of like simplifying things for people. And yeah, just like keeping them in, making it fun. I mean, I definitely think the chess world has grown, and I feel like I've heard you talk about like views kind of trickling down to other channels, and I feel like that happens a lot because we definitely get a lot of people that are like, oh, I came here from like a Levy video or whatever, or like Gotham streamer or something like that.
That's good.
Is always great. Yeah, absolutely.
I usually get told, I very rarely get the receiving end of thanks for the suggestion. I very much get the, I'm so tired of watching this content. If anybody who's like serious about their chess, you got to go watch ChessDojo or Daniel Naredinsky. Yeah. And I'm like, guys, I know. You know what I mean? I know. But the truth is that For example, I recently uploaded my lesson with Naroditsky. Like, we did a training session. That goes over the head of, I would argue, even folks who were watching ChessDojo religiously. Like, that training session was super intense. Like, you would have a great time watching that training session.
Yeah. Actually, I'm very excited to watch it. I
mean,
remember your video with Hikaru when you guys were doing like the same puzzles. That was super interesting. I love that.
Yeah, right. Like that was a sick video. It's sick for guys like you and me because we can actually try to like learn and use what we've known about the game, and it's interesting to viewers who are 800 who still just have a good time. You know what I mean? Like they're still they don't have to lie to themselves like they're actually learning anything. It's just like, wow, this is like pretty fascinating. Like I'm, and I think that's the secret. So I get, unfortunately, when I hear about ChessDojo or Naroditsky, it's like literally people trying to pull people there. But what people don't realize is I'm all for that because I know. I mean, sometimes I see people in my comments and like they're 2300s because their full name is there. And I'm sort of honored that they're even spending some of their day in my videos because they could probably beat me in a classical game. You know what I mean? So that's interesting that, you're like, oh, I came here from a Gotham video. I get the opposite. I get like more of the negative stuff. But
I get it. And honestly, I do hear it. Like there are definitely a lot of people within the dojo community that I've heard say negative things that don't like your stuff. And I always have to try to defend you because a lot of times it's just more to do with like your kind of like your stream personality. And it's not really like they think your content is actually like bad or whatever. And I always have to like kind of defend you, like I know Levy's a nice guy. Like it's like,
I know it's shocking, right? Like it's but yeah, I don't know. I mean, what I always say is you should treat the stream like a comedy show. You wouldn't get mad at a comedian. Well, it's 2022. We would get mad at comedians for saying certain things, but I don't say those things. But like it's fall aggression or whatever it is. And I mean, yeah, like we've coached children for 2 weeks in a foreign country and had to hang out every day. Like I'm a normal guy, but it's it definitely. I mean, I am fully aware, unfortunately. Like it comes with certain things. It definitely does. Some people just want to watch chess for the quality of the chess. That's why they have you guys, and I mean, Narrow is great, and maybe there's some other like pretty good channels. Super instructive.
I mean, Danya, I think he just does like sometimes he puts us to shame with some of his videos. Like he just does like great content, and of course he's like just a much stronger player overall.
Is it orator? He speaks very well.
Very articulate.
Yeah, I don't know how to exactly describe it. In fact, okay, I would say this to him too. Sometimes I get told he's a much better explainer than me, and I take it a bit personally because I don't think it's necessarily that true because I also think I can break things down very well. The problem is I don't do it much anymore. I've sort of turned to fully YouTube entertainment style. And I don't, some of those old videos, they're still great. I'm like, damn it, should I go back to it? And the truth is I shouldn't because every time I try, the videos do horribly. And as I'm sure you have seen, YouTube is so fickle. I mean, the speed at which your channel completely falls off a cliff, I don't know, maybe it's slightly different for you guys, but it's scary. Like
it can really slow down. I don't know. I mean, we're not working with like the same number of views, so our growth or our slowdown is maybe a little bit different. But it can be weird, and it's like you might think a video is really good and instructive, but if it's not like catchy or engaging, then like only the dedicated folks will watch and won't kind of take off, which is a shame. But I mean, that's kind of just part of the challenge. You got to make it like, really, you just got to boil it down, I think, to the most important stuff. And then, hopefully people will notice.
Are you still teaching like one-on-ones, Zoom?
Very little actually. So I cut that down during the pandemic. I moved all my students online, and then I had to kind of break it off with some of them just because I just got too busy and I just wanted to focus on the stream and playing my own tournaments and stuff.
More fun.
So,
it's more, I think it's. I just think I grew tired of it. I stopped liking it. I was totally showing up for the money, like for the hour,
Right.
you get paid. But that was
Yeah,
just
and
me.
so it's like, is that really how you want to spend your time? It's like, I don't I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I kept some students, I enjoy working with them. I want to see them like, get to master and above, but yeah, it's really just a very few handful.
What's the range of the students that you teach, like privately?
So I'd say the strongest one is maybe about like 2200.
Jesus Christ, what? Oh my God. I thought you were going to say like 1800, 2200. Wow.
No, I mean, it's a guy I worked with actually to get him to 2200. He was like, I don't know, 2150. He just needed like a little help to get like the next 50 points. I'm sure he could have probably done it on his own, but okay, he
No,
made it and now he's, trying to get to 2250.
you did everything.
Yeah, I'm sure.
By the way, the guy is watching and for some reason doesn't like my stream. It was a joke. it was all you. No, I mean, that's a very tough rating range. I don't know. Did you ever get stuck at 2100?
I think 2100, not so much. I definitely got stuck at 2200 for a long time. And I feel like I was maybe around like 2020 or 2050. And then I gained that 150 points like in a burst because I was like working at that point, just like very, very hard. That was the first time I started like seriously working on my chess, like studying games, like actually like analyzing stuff. And yeah. Then but then at 2200, I was like, I didn't realize like how much harder I needed to work from there to get to the next level. And now I feel like I've been stuck at like 2400 for like several years.
What's your peak USCF?
Actually I just hit it recently. It's 2513. But after Vegas, it's definitely actually, I think it already dropped in. So I think I'm already below.
I have you beat on peak. I don't know if you're aware of that. You're a far superior player now, but I think 2521 or 2520 flat. Nice. Dude, it's nice to be 2500 at something, right? Like I mean, it's a nice rating. It's like
I mean, I don't really care about like the USCF rating so much. Like for me, the FIDE is much more important. But yeah, like when I just hit 2500 recently, basically, I was like, all right, yeah. Because yeah, when I was a kid, of course, it was just USCF ratings. And there was like the IMs and the GMs with 2500s and then everyone else. So yeah, so that was always kind of a sentimental margin.
How long have you been 2400?
FIDE probably since like 2013 or 2014.
Okay.
So good while. Actually, maybe less, but yeah, maybe like 7-8 years.
And USCF?
USCF, I don't remember. I probably hit 2400 way before that. Probably when I was like 2300 FIDE or so.
How old are you, Kostya?
I'm 29.
I was gonna say 28, but okay, I was very
close. I think I'm a few years older than you, right? Like, how old are you? 26?
Yeah, 26 and a half. I'm very proud of that half. I just turned the half 10 days ago. But I only ask because that seems to be like a similar trajectory, because if you hit 2400 when you were 19 and we kind of started taking it intensely, like right around that level as adults, I think that's around the time I hit it. 19, what? I'm born in 95, 2014. Sounds vaguely correct. And your peak FIDE is like 2440, right? Or something. You were quite high rated, I think.
No, I think it's like maybe 24, something like that.
Ah, you have me beat. 2421.
Dang.
Very close.
I remember at one point, I remember seeing you at some tournament, maybe like Washington International or something. And then we played in Montreal. Yeah. But I think we were both like FMs at one point, maybe like 2380 or something. And then maybe the next year, like we were both IMs or something like that. But I feel like it was really around the same time.
That is a great little area of improvement. Like I felt like I was really understanding how to get the IM title. I don't know if you felt that way, but the combo of just like chess tempo, some other external vague studying, like, Agard or whatever, or some positional stuff, and like opening prep, like that in a dedicated way is such an easy package, it seemed like, to get the international master title. Like, I don't know if you feel that way, and to go to GM just felt like, I mean, I have no clue. I have been near GM norms in my life, like 2540 performance, 2560 performance. But those were, in my opinion, I look back at those performances, that was like a once in a lifetime. I don't know what went right. Everything went right in those tournaments.
I see. Yeah.
Is your journey similar? Like in tournaments that you've crushed, literally everything goes right, constantly getting prep, a little luck, like outplaying everybody, just super sharp.
I would say, yeah. So I actually, yeah, very similar to you. I've had a couple performances like 2550 or so. I've never been really close to a GM norm. That's why it's always so funny to me. Like, I know you get this all the time, but like, yeah, every time I mention I'm playing a tournament, people are just asking me about like norms. Like, are you going to get a norm? Are you playing for a norm? All this stuff. So I've only actually been close, like maybe once recently, where at the Chicago Open, where maybe if I had scored 1.5 out of 2 in the final 2 rounds, or 2 out of 2 against like 2500s, then maybe I would have gotten it. But yeah, I think at first it was definitely like how you described, where it just seemed like I just got like good pairings throughout, like just like really good prep with white, maybe a little bit luck somewhere, and everything kind of went my way. Lately though, I've been getting like decent performances, and I honestly feel like now I'm leaving a lot of points on the table. Like I'm blowing wins and stuff, which to me feels like a good thing. It's like I'll have like a decent performance, like I'll gain 4 rating points, which for me is really, really solid, right?
Yeah.
And I'll feel like, and there's like 3 games where I left a half point on the table, so it feels like there's room for improvement, which is cool. I was wondering, what was your last tournament?
I played in, I don't even know when that was, maybe March or something. I played a tournament here in New York. Alex has been Ostrovsky has been organizing some like norm events here. And I decided to play the IM section because, first of all, I'm solo rated. And second of all, the last time that I played a GM norm section, I mean, something totally went wrong in my mind. And like for the first time in my life, I was showing up to like die. Like I did not believe I could beat anybody. It was, I don't know if you've ever felt that.
No, it happens. Yeah. Like you lose confidence in a tournament, and then it's just like
completely, you lose confidence from everything. The prep, you lose confidence from the ability to outplay anybody.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I went -5, 4 draws, 5 losses. Like,
yeah,
I
mean, that happens, especially in a GM norm. I mean, that's the tough part, is that it's not like an open where you get easier pairings, or you can just withdraw, right? If you're really just like thinking it up, you just get harder pairings. It's just a random, because it's a round robin. Yeah, it's really tough. I don't know. I feel like, mentally, you just have to be super strong, especially because you could ruin like an entire tournament with like one move that you blunder and like lose 12 rating points in a game, and that's it. Like it completely spoils everything. So like, it feels like you have to be just so incredibly focused to get to. It's really hard, honestly. I don't know if I can do it. Like I'm trying, but it's super tough.
What's your FIDE now?
It's about like 2405. I gained some points. I had a great Chicago Open, gained a bunch of points, and lost everything, and probably more
in Vegas. And you have no norms or one?
0. No.
0. Okay, but you're an IM, 2405 IM. I mean, you're an IM, right? That's.
I mean, yeah.
What's the lowest you've gone since you've become an IM?
I haven't dropped too much. Gone maybe down to like 2380. But generally I pick back up. Honestly, I just don't worry too much about the rating, because I just feel like whether I'm 2410 or 2430 or 2450, I still have like so much more to go to get to 2500, right? Like, so whatever, I still have like a ton of work ahead of me if I'm gonna. So honestly, I just kind of want to enjoy playing the game. Like if I don't like the opening I'm getting, or like the positions I'm getting, for me, it's really not worth it.
Right.
But if I like the games I'm getting, I feel like I'm playing like chess that I'm proud of, if that makes sense, then like whatever, results aren't the most important.
Have you had to make any repertoire changes? Like, I think you're a D4 King's Indian. I don't know your E4 opening with black. Is it like all over the place? Like E5?
Exactly. I don't have like I love the King's Indian. I'll play it against anyone, and I think it's done well for me. But against E4, I don't have like a similar reliable weapon. So I kind of bounce around. I play like the Taimanov sometimes. I played E4 Knight C6 is my pet opening, which I'll play in Blitz.
I think you played it against Alex in Montreal because you didn't want to play into like Taimanov. Am I wrong? Or did you end up playing the Taimanov?
Exactly right. Yeah. Because that's a perfect example. So I'm black against Ostrovsky, very good E4 player. I know he preps well. Tons of experience in the Open Sicilian. I've been playing Taimanov exclusively. If I play different Sicilian, I don't have a lot of experience there. He has more experience everywhere, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of like a sitting duck. There's so many lines at that point. Bishop E3, Queen F3. He can go for like the regular English attack. I still haven't found a solution for the Bishop E3, Queen F3 Taimanov. Recently lost the game in it.
That opening is insane. That Bishop E3, Queen F3 setup. It's like
very scary for black. Yeah. And so yeah, I played Knight C6, which I think wasn't a terrible choice, but I think he just played a really good game.
I remember, I think he and I ate like at some Japanese restaurant on the night. Did you guys play in the final round?
Or I think so. It might have been. Yeah.
I think did he beat you to win the tournament or something like that? Like I'm not trying to rub it in. I'm just trying to like actually remember.
I feel happened. I feel like that is accurate actually. Like because it was I was in IM, right, in like an IM round robin.
Yeah.
But that last round, it definitely felt like important. Like maybe we were playing like for a prize or something. So I feel like him beating me was maybe like to get first. Exactly.
Do you remember our game?
Yeah. Actually, that was a cool game for me.
I remember I was so annoyed, and I experienced the same thing playing King's Indian players. And I think going into that game against you, I experienced information overload. Like I had so many different lines that I wanted to play against the King's Indian at that time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I ended up I decided to go Jobava London, which was nowhere near as trendy or popular as it is now. And I remember getting a good position. I remember like I analyzed that game recently. I don't know if you ever do this. You analyze the game, and I'm like, what was I doing?
All the time.
I look back like, what are these moves? Oh my God, if I could go back in time, I think I would slap myself and then do some other things that might benefit the world.
But that's good. That means you've kind of like grown as a chess player, hopefully.
Maybe it's just like a sports fan watches their favorite team and says that they could do better, Like maybe you put me back then, I do even stupider stuff. Who knows? I remember, we had a fun game, and like to this day, I don't enjoy playing Jobava London just because of the way you played it against me. It's just like solid, like it's so hard. That opening is just.
I see. It's popular. Honestly, I don't mind when people play it against me because it's kind of weird for white. Like you put your knight on c3, and then I feel like I don't know if one thing goes wrong for white, you just have a very unusual position, right? That you're kind of not.
Yep.
It's not like a thematic position, So, but I don't know. I mean, it's very playable. Like Hans is a big fan. I feel like he's doing really good stuff with it.
I think it's tough though, to study the games of like really good players, because I watch Hans just beat literally everybody. Yeah. And I'm like, I wouldn't do that. Like, you ever have that feeling? I mean,
sometimes, there's some players that's like I can't imagine myself doing what they do. Like Jobava actually is a good example. Like he just plays like some amazing chess, and I'm just like can't fathom. Like Fedoseev, just like super creative players. And then I'm like, okay, well, if this is the way I have to play to make this opening work, maybe
it ain't happening.
Right. Yeah. No, that's very important. That's something I can do a lot better with. It's just like choosing positions that I feel like I can understand versus whatever the computer is saying, which I think can be a big mistake.
That's fine. Why don't you learn the Caro-Kann? It's so easy.
I've always been thinking about the Caro-Kann, actually.
Learn it.
It makes sense.
So simple.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really, you could learn it in like 2 days, I think.
I guess my big thing. So I switched to the King's Indian actually when I was like a 2360 FM stuck with like 2 IM norms. And I was like, you know what, I'm struggling against the King's Indian. Maybe I should just like learn this opening. It's kind of like a win-win, because either you learn why the opening is bad, and then it kind of helps you as white as a D4 player, or it's just a great opening and it's just, super strong and you can use it. And of course I play a lot of opens, right? So it's just like, I need something to play for a win as black against specifically players that are rated like 2200, between 22 and 2300. And so when I think about playing the Caro against E4, I'm just very worried about, just some of the more the more solid lines. But it is an option. Definitely an option.
What line are you worried about specifically? Let's see if you have the correct line that you should be afraid of.
Well, okay, not that they're going to, let's say, like force a draw out of the opening, but even let's say the just the classical variation. So just going knight c3, d4, knight e4.
Yep.
Like, I have a hard time imagining playing for a win there, right?
Yes, and then you have to learn Tartakower, which is just depressing if they know all the theory. I tried for a while to
go
learn
ef6, like knight
ef6. Yeah, that line just sucks for black. Like, do not let anybody fool you. At the 2400 plus level, again, in the right hands, it's fine. But I tried to play it in training games multiple times against multiple people my rating, and I constantly lose. Now, it might just not fit my playing style. I'm naturally drawn to more dynamic and imbalanced stuff, and there you just sort of have to chill. Like, you just don't and like Bronstein Larsen is just like losing for black. Yeah, I mean, it's like worse for black, obviously. It's not. And you're right, knight c3. The good thing is not a lot of people play that anymore.
Right. I mean, it's very solid for black, like, and white has more interesting options. So yeah,
I think most people nowadays are trying to play e5, ed5.
I've been seeing this d3 line a lot, knight f3 and d3.
Yes, I actually had to prepare against that a few times. I thought like Jospin was going to play it against me because he's been playing it a lot in Blitz. I played him in Spice Cup, and yeah, that like, I don't know about you. I'm happy for you to tell me how your games against GMs generally go. My game against Jospin went as follows. I obviously prepared. I was nervous, but I decided to keep like a cool head. He played the advance with h4, which I sort of thought he was going to play. I detonated all my prep. I had this prep ready. I played 13 moves of it. He played a move, which was not the move in my notes, and I couldn't remember the move. The move that I wanted to play was the move. But then I was like, what about this other move? And I couldn't convince myself why I wouldn't play that move, so I did. Turned out to be the top Stockfish move. Like, turned out that my notes were actually slightly inaccurate. I found the best move over the board. Then we had a very tense position for about 7 moves. I got into time trouble, always thought the game was sort of out of reach, and ended up losing. The game was actually equal. The game was totally okay. But that's how I generally lose to GMs. At some point, I'm like, am I worse? Then I tank, then I lose. Like, how does it go for you against GMs? I mean, does it depend on the color? Does it depend on, like, what does it depend on?
Yeah, it can really vary. I definitely struggle as black more than white, because the black, I play the King's Indian. So I give them a choice. They can either try to kill me there, or they can try to like checkmate me in the Sicilian, something like that. And then sometimes, they play e4 and I get crushed. Like, I play black against Vladimir Akopian, who's been playing a lot of the open tournaments, and he's just like a super strong e4 player. And yeah, I felt like I was just going to get killed everywhere. And that's exactly what I just played some weird Sicilian, and yeah, he still knew it better than me. So
wow.
As white, it's like a little bit more solid, but yeah, I would say the games with black that are successful for me are the ones where I get some middle game that I do kind of understand, and at least I just know like where the pieces belong and like what my squares are and what the ideas are and what the plans are, and then I feel like I can play on let's say decent terms with like 25 50 level player. So, but yeah, it's tough. It's like when one interesting thing I've noticed is like when you look at the games of like 2700s that like win with some opening, a lot of times they don't just play like perfect computer chess throughout. At some point they deviate from like, what the computer suggests. Like they show really good prep, their opponent makes some random move, and then they don't even punish it properly, but they still win the game because they just find some like really interesting idea in the position, or they know exactly like I need to push on the king side, or I need to like prepare this f5 break, and then they just find a way to outplay their opponent anyway, even though they don't necessarily match like the engine choice all the way through. And so that's what I feel like is really missing for someone like me or you, is just like, I don't know, really deeply understanding that kind of maybe early opening or late opening, early middle game phase, like where you're right out of prep, you're choosing a plan, you got to figure out what to do. I feel like I often go wrong at that point, and I'm honestly just like very inconsistent and just super dynamic, like messy position. So if the game gets out of control, then like I can win some, I can lose some, but it really doesn't feel great.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's always that moment right out of prep. And just your familiarity with the position, where you have to go off on your own. And the higher you go up the rating ladder, the more reference they continue to have. I mean, things like I once played Dmitry Gurevich in like a Chicago Open, and for the audience that doesn't know, he might be in his 50s and his 60s, former, I guess, Soviet Union, now living in Chicago, and Grandmaster. Not the highest FIDE rating, obviously. Like as the older you get, you even know with the GM title, you know your FIDE goes down. But like we played I was thinking a lot in the opening. He played something, I didn't really recognize it, and we drew, I think. And after the game, he's like, yeah, like in Russian, but I'm translating. He's like, yeah, me and Gennady Sosonko, we like analyzed this in like 1980s Soviet Union. I was like, what? That is insane. That is nearly double my life ago when we played this game that they analyzed this.
Yeah, it's always like that. After my game with Akopian, he was like, yeah, I was looking at this with Movsesian before the Olympiad. Jeez Louise. Yeah, these players just a different level, just the amount of work they've done.
And they remember everything. I don't know, did you watch the 5-minute video that like Team Magnus put out of the team like chatting, sitting in the room together? They just like put this out on the Magnus Carlsen YouTube channel a couple days ago.
Oh, maybe not the recent one then. Yeah.
Shout out to the Magnus Carlsen YouTube channel. You're welcome for the free promo. I've been waiting for like the behind the scenes documentary for so long, and they finally put out a 4-minute clip where Dubov says that Magnus just has an incredible memory, like a sponge for chess. Things that you and I could not imagine. And he basically said, I can show him a line. We talk about it. And 3 days later, we'll be talking about the line. I don't remember what the move was despite working on the line, and he remembers. Like I worked on it. I made the file for him, but he remembers. I don't remember.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard so many stories like that or anecdotes of Magnus just having like a photographic memory or something close to that. Like he just reads something once. He can read a book without a board, just kind of scanning the moves blindfold, and just stores it somewhere. I mean, I don't know if it's as true as people make it sound. I'm surprised he's like not even higher rated, to be honest. Like no one can do that I know. There's no one.
I know.
It's like crazy.
It's crazy, yeah. It's like it's cheating. It's not actual cheating, but it's not fair. It sucks.
But speaking of behind the scenes, do you know the Chicken Chess Club podcast? Do you listen to that?
I have. Yeah, totally. No, I haven't yet. I haven't. I honestly, to be completely honest with you, I don't consume a lot of content within the chess world. Most of my content is like nonsense talk about like sports, mixed martial arts. That's like all my YouTube feed. That's just how I film.
I see. Gotcha.
Please tell me about it.
No, I mean that's the three Carlsen seconds. Gustafsson, Peter Heine Nielsen, and Fressinet, and then they do a podcast together, and they usually talk. I mean, they did a whole series, I think, for Chess 24 about like a lot of the matches that Magnus has played. Kind of like the behind the scenes stuff, which for me is super interesting. I love following the matches, and I love hearing about like the prep and what they expected and stuff. And then now they have like a podcast where they kind of like keep people up to date on what's happening with Magnus and their lives and stuff.
Oh, juicy stuff.
Yeah, I personally really like it.
Well, I will take a listen. It's true. Like surface level, I'm like, oh yeah, that's like super interesting. But for some reason, I don't boot up a lot of chess content just sitting here like on a day to day. It's probably because I'm constantly generating it, so it's kind of nice in my spare time of doing God knows what that doesn't involve chess that I can listen to. I mean something else. So I will take a look. But
yeah, I can imagine.
Always interesting to hear though, because the guy is like a super enigma, and it's just fascinating, like what he does to people on the chessboard and the stuff that he creates. He was like already amazing, right? He became the world champion by being like super, technical, right, and squeezing like all these end games, and then he like completely like revolutionized his chess, like started playing like the Sveshnikov and all this like super sharp stuff,
I feel like he like got stronger, and collectively everyone else kind of got stronger with him, because they get to play Magnus so many times and learn from him.
That's an interesting way of thinking about it. Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Wow.
I feel
That
like
is
when
interesting. I never thought
when
about
he
that.
entered the scene, he was really dominating. He's scoring like 8 out of 12 in China or whatever, just like crushing everyone. And then I think people got somewhat used to playing him, right? And definitely the level of defense, I think, has improved. As people, they've each had their turn, getting ground down by Magnus, and now they're a little bit better at. I mean, that's great training. You lose a 4v4 versus Magnus or whatever.
That's a very interesting perspective. Wow. Yeah, I guess I've like literally never heard that. That's why I'm so
interesting.
intrigued.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have heard it from someone. I feel like maybe Kramnik or someone said something similar. Another interesting point was that Magnus has an advantage every tournament he plays, because he's the only one that doesn't have to play himself. So everyone else has to worry about their game with Magnus. He doesn't.
He doesn't have someone to fear. He doesn't have someone to be intimidated by. I mean, it must be a very nice mindset. Right? I mean, he doesn't have anybody he even hates playing. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like if he hates playing anybody,
used to be his kryptonite, right? Because like he had a good score against him, but okay, beat him in the match.
I mean, yeah,
he got his win against Geary. So
now he has gotten many of them. So I think he just beat him in Norway, right? I mean, it was kind of like a crazy game. It was that game where Anish sacked the queen for the 2 rooks.
Right.
What the hell was that? Like,
yeah, actually, that was a surprising decision for you, right?
I talked about it in my recap. I was like, if Anish was playing me, he would never take the rook. Like, he just would never take the rook. I mean, first of all, he wouldn't have played that opening. I would have played something else. He would have played something else to play for a win. But I just was like shocked. It just didn't make any sense. I mean, how can you give that imbalance to Matt? I don't know. And sometimes I feel weird actually legitimately criticizing players and their decisions, because I don't do that. I report their moves and I say if they were good or bad, but I never criticize. And that was the one moment where I kind of was like, that was a bad decision. Like, it was just a bad thing.
No, I mean, I think I remember I was watching the official broadcast with Jan Gustafsson, and he was also pretty critical about it. And he's usually he doesn't usually like criticize moves. He usually tries to like, kind of cover for them. But even that one, he was like, yeah, that's weird. I really felt like it was a big mistake. Even though the engine, I think, doesn't even, I'm not sure, I don't remember what the engine says, but I think the engine doesn't say, oh, it does hate it.
I think it hated it, yeah.
Oh, okay. I think just from a human point of view, he was just like, yeah, it felt very, very strange. I don't know.
It's easier when the engine says it's like +2, of course, but it just seemed, it was like a massive change. And I remember people in the comments were like, well, if Anish would have won this game, he would have been a genius. I was like, but he didn't. He,
I mean, that's not false. He definitely would have been a genius if.
But all the positional play, just all the opportunities immediately went to Magnus, who just played super simply and just went on to win the game. Right. That's interesting, though. Magnus doesn't have to play himself, and he might go an entire career without getting a guy like Kramnik, like Kasparov had Kramnik ultimately. And who's going to be that? Do you think Firouzja is... Let's talk about candidates. How about that? How about that? You have any hot takes? I have no clue what to expect, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's always conflicting because I'm rooting for certain people, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Who are you rooting for?
Well, I would definitely love to see Firouzja to win.
Okay.
And I'm definitely because I do think Firouzja is the future. I think he's great. I think he could be the kind of like Kasparov to Magnus being a kind of Karpov type. Because Magnus always been compared to like just being like a super version of Karpov, and so he needs someone that's extremely dynamic, extremely tactical, that can kind of unseat him. And then I feel like the cycle just kind of continues. But I also root for Fabi. I just feel like he's a great player, and I feel like he's, he was like a very, very clear number 2 to Magnus. But I don't know if Magnus is even going to play a second match against Fabi. He might not, and that would be very strange.
That'd be so weird.
So who knows? Yeah, I don't know. And then Ding for me would be a fine choice if he wins. I mean, I would love to see a Ding versus Carlsen match.
Is the concern about Hikaru the fact that even if he wins the candidates, like there's of course the looming classical score?
Well, I don't know, actually. I haven't really thought about it, but there was a point in time when Hikaru could have won the candidates, like, several years ago. He was just top player, right? Like easily could have won. And then that would have been just like an amazing match to see. But yeah, since then it's like he kind of slowed down on the classical side. Now he's back. So it's weird because yeah, it's like he always jokes about how he's like a professional streamer. He's like not even a classical player anymore. But obviously he could like easily win the tournament. Like he's fully capable. And then he would be the candidate, which, and then I hope they have the match. I mean, that would be amazing. I hope they like both just take it like super, super seriously. That would be really cool.
Yeah, that for me is
oh, you're hoping for
that. Yeah, of course. I mean, that would be insane. Can you imagine the recaps? This is the stuff I have to think about now. But no, I mean, that would be nuts. Like that would be actually crazy. If that doesn't happen, I think Firouzja winning the candidates would be amazing. Particularly because there are always asterisks attached to anything. Like his 2800 climb, you can, if you wanted to, and you would be pretty justified. This whole thing about, he played in the European Championship or whatever. He beat up on good GMs, but we're not talking top 10. He didn't just beat up the top 10 guys to whatever. People have these takes. That's not my take, but that's the take. Then they played in a tournament, right? Firouzja played something. I forgot. Some over-the-board tournament. I don't think it was Norway, but he's definitely played in, like, was it Grand Swiss?
Well, you mean he played Magnus, or?
No, I think he played a tournament recently. I'm forgetting what it was.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Superbet.
Right.
The Superbet Classic. And like he like lost the game to MVL, he lost the game to Jan. He was looking maybe a little bit shaky or something. And so it's like, oh, well, he took all this time off to prepare for the candidates. Like, oh my God, he didn't do well in Superbet, which was supposed to be his warm-up for the candidates. So if he shuts that narrative up and just destroys the candidates or whatever, even wins it in a tiebreaker, I don't care. It's still the same result. That would be crazy because he has never faced an actual obstacle and failure, it feels like. It just feels like he's just destroyed everybody. So that would be really exciting for me. I'm not as excited about Nepo or Fabi. I don't like, they had their chance. I don't think they can beat Magnus in a match. I don't think Nepo can do it. And if you're going to argue that Fabiano can do it, perhaps, but isn't he like 50 points, 60 points off his peak? Of course, it's very different when you go for a match, but it just seems like they had their chance. So that leaves Ding Liren. And I don't know what to expect because he has not played a super tournament in like 3 years, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Just like online events. But
yeah,
not
online
like...
and obviously his whole campaign to make the rated game. So, man, do you think he's done enough to win the candidates in his time off? I don't know. I have no clue what to expect from Ding Liren.
Yeah, it's hard to say. He's also kind of like late. Like he's just traveling, I think like today or yesterday.
Yeah, dude, what's up with that? Why did that happen? It's a crazy journey. Why is he getting there 2 days in advance?
I don't know. It's weird. He definitely suffered from like conditions right from the last one, right? He had to like quarantine for 2 weeks and it was like a whole thing. And yeah, I mean, as we know, like your mental space when you're playing is very important. So really, it kind of feels like a toss-up, like who's going to show up in the best kind of mental shape. Which the last one, that's what made it really tough because the pandemic was kind of affecting everyone. Everyone was thinking about like going home or like what's going to happen. And
yeah,
it just like seemed very, very distracting. This one, there's less stuff going on, but yeah, it feels very much like it's going to depend on who kind of shows up in the best form. It would be amazing to see Firouzja, like if he actually wins the candidates. I mean, that's just incredible because it just feels like he's definitely part of the next generation. And so
yeah,
if he's ready, that would be great.
It's the highest stakes chess he's ever played, and he also just hasn't competed. He went totally hermit mode for I don't even know how long, maybe a year or something, which to me, gut feeling does not seem like the right idea. It just feels like you would want to get a taste of the competition regardless, you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know what it's like to do candidates level preparation and hide your secrets, but it seems like at that level, all those guys have a pretty good grasp on what they can and cannot show in these rapid events.Maybe I'm totally naive, you know what I mean? But so I would have loved to see him compete more, but maybe he didn't want to let it affect his psyche, you know, just prep.
Yeah. Basically since Grand Swiss, I think he's just been or he didn't really play anything until the super bet. So it was like maybe like 6 months or something. But I don't know. I hope he was training. I hope he was at least playing some training games or something else. I feel like if it seems like, you know, the experience is super, super important. Just playing against these top guys.
That's what, yeah, exactly. I mean, building the confidence. I mean, I don't know. He might be bursting with confidence. I will say, I think his score versus Magnus is already something like 0-3 in classical or something, 0-4. Maybe they drew or something. Magnus seems to be the only one that gets under his skin. It might just be because I don't necessarily think it could be nerves. Maybe he just thinks he can beat Magnus, and when he doesn't, it's like super frustrating.
I don't know. It could be nerves. I remember their like world championship like rapid or blitz game or something that had like a dramatic end, and I felt like get exactly what happened, but he definitely seemed very, very shaky there.
He flagged in an opposite colored bishop endgame up like 2 or 3 pawns, but it was a draw somehow. It was some weird fortress, and then the whole debacle and saying Magnus was cursing or whatever. Seems like, again, if he played that against Anish, he would have probably, not to diss Anish, just another top 10 guy, he might convert it and he might not be as nervous.
No, I mean, you know, like the first time you play like a master over the board, then like an IM and then a GM, every time it just feels like a bigger and bigger challenge. And then now, like for me, it's definitely a difference whether I'm playing like a GM or like a 26, 2700, or even like a top player. It's
what's your cutoff for a different level of nerves? You were nervous for Akopian? Well, it was also the colors, right? I feel like if you were white against him, you might be a little bit more chill, but what was...
let's see. Against him, I wasn't super nervous. I would say maybe a 5 or 6 out of 10. But then, okay, I had to play Fabi once in a rapid game, OTB. So for that one, it's like,
oh, that's funny.
Through the roof.
Wow.
Or like, you know, I've been paired against like a Kramnik, you know, classical game, OTB at Isle of Man. And so that's just like,
wow, that must have been a surreal feeling. You must have just the whole game, you were like, I can't wait to lose this one.
It was, it's so hard to actually play good chess when you're playing like a legend. Like, I feel like I played really badly that game. I could play like so much better. I played like Ivanchuk and like same thing. I feel like I just played like a terrible. Shurov as well. Just like, is it, you know, I just like, I've like read books, you know, like seen so many games by these guys, you know, see their picture a billion times since I was a kid. So and you get to sit down in front of them. OTB, and I'm thinking nuts. Like, you know, my dad might be watching, like he's seen these guys like when he was growing up, so like,
oh man, that's insane. I mean, it's like how I feel playing Hikaru. Like it's I'll play him in Blitz. I just be like, all right, I'm ready to lose now. Like, you know what I mean? Just no belief at all I can win, and it's not good, but you're only human. Wow, I can't even imagine playing Kramnik. That's like so crazy. What was the best game between like Kramnik, Shirov, Ivanchuk that you played? Of yours, not of theirs.
Let's see. You know, I guess maybe the most interesting one was against Kramnik. Like I was actually, like he sacrificed an exchange, but not because like he wanted to, out of kind of like almost kind of desperation. And then I definitely was fine, but I like immediately misplayed it. He won. But definitely that was the most interesting game. It was a King's Indian. I got to play, you know, King's Indian against Kramnik. So
wow. What did he play?
He went with a double fianchetto G3 B3. So he did like fianchetto variation, and then he played B3 somewhere.
Oh my god, that's like super non-committal. I mean,
I mean that was like his. He's used it like a couple times.
Oh, okay.
And like, you know, like serious games, but I feel like it was kind of a win. He didn't go for like the big classical, you know.
Did you expect it?
I think I did a little bit because I had seen that he played it a couple times, and you know, again, when I play these guys, I'll check like what are they doing in open tournaments against 2400. So like Gibraltar Open, like Isle of Man, things like this. So to try to get a little bit of insight. But I think there was a lot of stuff he could have played. So I don't know. Probably prepare like the main fianchetto as well. And yeah, different things. Oh man, then preparing for Ivanchik was just.
You just don't even do it, right? You just don't even. I feel like you can't even prep against him.
It was insane. It was just like literally, all 4 moves: E4, D4, C4, Knight of 3. He played all 4 moves like in the tournament already as white, like 3 of them. So it was like nothing I could go off of whatsoever.
What did he play against you?
And then he ended up playing Open Sicilian. He went for the Taimanov English attack, and then he had some like weird move that he played that wasn't really critical, but it like took me out of book. Whatever. Like I immediately went wrong as usual.
Did you talk to him after?
No, very little. Only one I talked to was Shirov. He was really nice after the game. He was very cordial.
Oh, did you start the conversation? Were you like, oh, like was it?
I usually don't. I usually kind of wait for them, but he did actually.
Oh wow. What did you say? Interesting game. Like
yes. Yeah, he was pretty I think he was pretty happy with the game. It was like it was a King's Indian, and he actually went for like an early end game, one of the variations, and he was like a little better, and then he just kind of slowly squeezed me and won. And we talked a little bit just about like the line, and he was super nice. I mean, and then we just like play this one game, like round 1 Isle of Man. And then I think like 3 years later in Reykjavik Open, he'll still like say hi to me if he like sees me. Yeah, he's actually super nice, and you'll often see him like joining other people's like analyses, like their postmortems, just kind of like offering his thoughts.
That's crazy because that dude is like super intense. I mean, he just seems like super intense.
I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, in person, quite friendly.
That's funny. Wow, I would have never. Not that I would have expected him to be a bad. That's just so interesting, He's like still saying hello and whatnot. Yeah, it's one of the things about going to like a Reykjavik or a Gibraltar, which unfortunately will be postponed for some years. Will it, or is it just a hotel?
Reykjavik's back.
Yeah, but Gibraltar, the hotel is under renovation. Yeah, so
no idea what's going on there. Hopefully it comes back because that's just a fantastic tournament.
That's what I hear. It's also beautiful, right? Like, I mean, time of year, blue water.
Actually, I played twice. It was a great time, both times. There's like, you can walk all over the city. You can stay in many places and like walk to the tournament. So yeah, great location. Weather's good. And it's just like so strong. Oh my God. So I think those are the best tournaments to play when you're like trying to gain rating. It's just those huge opens because you get to play. I mean, and you don't even, because in here it's like you kind of you roller coaster, right? You play the 2600s and then 2100s, whereas when you have like a really big tournament, you start to kind of play like people closer to your level, like 2500, 2300. It's not as bad.
Yeah, that makes sense. I always want to go. I want to go to one of those things, like one game a day, nice weather. I mean, playing chess in America is just the worst. It's so bad.
One game a day is great. I mean, personally, I really like postmortems, especially with strong players.
Yeah, and
but can't here do it's them. Like I don't want to. Yeah, I don't have time. Even if it's like, I mean, we'll talk a little bit like blindfold maybe, but that's cool. But yeah, one game a day is great, and then you have time to prepare for the next game.
Did you have a lot of fan interactions in Vegas?
Yeah, quite a few actually. That's been very surprising since last year's National Open. I think that's kind of when it started. Every tournament I play, actually, I'll get recognized, which is pretty cool. Not so much that it gets like annoying. Like I imagine you just got it way worse. But just like here and there, very cool.
I mean, for me, because I think the amount of people is a lot. You get a lot of different variants. I mean, I can't even go play local tennis without getting like a hello. It's like kind of nuts.
Wow, that is crazy.
It's actually crazy. Like I don't talk about it from the standpoint of like, let's talk about how famous I am. I talk about it because I myself am shocked, and like it's kind of like it's just crazy to like share it with somebody else. Like I mean,
I remember you from before. Yeah, you were famous. You're basically the same now. So I can only imagine.
That's what I'm saying. Like I didn't change. I'd like to think. So you got a whole lot of different. I'm happy having like long conversations with people. Sometimes people make it super awkward. They just say hello and then they don't really know what to do beyond that. The other day I was joking. I went for coffee 7 a.m. same spot at like, you know, as usual. And the guy walking by was like, "Oh my God, are you Levy?" I'm like, "Oh dude, it's 7 in the morning. Like I am not ready for this." Like, and he was super nice, you know, he was super nice. But I was like battling my puppy, like making sure he didn't jump on anybody. Guy took a selfie with me. And you know, Kostya, I don't know about you. I don't know if you've ever watched people's mannerisms if they take selfies. You ever see how much their hands shake? You ever see how nervous people are? Like,
right.
They're terrified.
It always, it stresses me out. I'm like, wow, you know, I'm not the guy to be nervous right now. Like,
exactly.
like I'm really not a big deal. Yeah.
But
that is always, it's always a reminder to me. Yeah, I got to meet like some kids at the National Open, and that's like super cool. Like their dads come up to me and like, "Hey, can you take a picture like with my son?" I'm like, wow, like I'm a sports star.
I know.
This is crazy.
It's nuts. Like last Vegas Open, I got like pictures with like kids, their parents, like adults, 70-year-old men, you know, like everybody. There was a guy who was like, "Yeah, you know, I'm a pilot. I just have a layover. I'm gonna stay the night in Vegas, and I saw you were playing here, so I just showed up." I was like, "That's crazy to me."
That is insane.
So yeah, I was hoping you had like a good experience. Like I was saying, I mean, for me, it's a big range of things, and with I think the style I have, people sort of try to emulate kind of the sarcasm, a little bit of the brashness. So last year in Vegas, it was just like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. I was walking in the lobby, and some kids were playing Blitz, and they're like, "Yo, man, like, come play with us." It's like it's not just like, "Oh, what's up, man? Let's take a photo together." And I was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm kind of tired." And they were like, "Why, are you a pussy?" I was like, "What? Like, we don't, you don't talk to people like that." Like, he was like, "Hey, don't be a pussy." I was like, "Excuse me?" And like, what am I supposed to do? You know, I just walked away. Like, I'm gonna throw hands with some 14-year-olds. Like,
oh man.
So you know, I get a lot of that. I get a lot of, you know, antagonizing people too, because they can kind of see, you know, I roast the chat and whatnot. So people think that like they know me, or they think that they're like super friendly. But everyone I've met has been, I mean, super nice. You know, it's all the online negativity, but I'm, you know.
Yeah, no, I think for the most part, people come from a good place, and I'm sure as it happens to you, like sometimes just a comment can just really rub you the wrong way, and it's just one comment out of like hundreds, you know, or maybe dozens of positive ones, but it's just like you just read it like, oh, hate this person so much. But
I know, it's like why just be you know, be positive, especially with a channel like you guys have. I mean, you guys are only positive, like just trying to be a asset like to the community.
I'm always shocked. I'm like, I try really hard to be kind of like, you know, non-controversial, untouchable, right? Just like offering my opinion. If you don't like it, you know, that's fine. Just if you want to improve at chess, here's kind of what I think you should do. And if that's not for you, like, that's fine. Like, you know, no problem.
Right.
Even then, people still find ways to like pick arguments about like,
I know.
How could this happen?
I know. I can't imagine. I mean, I talk about so much stuff on my Twitch, not really on my YouTube, but sometimes I crack a joke here and there, you know. What I've started to do now is I break the fourth wall. If I make a joke that I live recording think will be too much or can be misconstrued or whatever, I'll even address the joke quickly before the audience will even like be like, "What?" And then I addressing the joke, because people don't like when I go on tangents. So you have to cover all your bases, you know. And sometimes
that's one thing that happens more and more. Like someone complains about something and then you try to fix it, and then 3 more people complain that you like fix something.
Yeah.
Because they liked it the old way.
Like, why'd you even do that? Like, I can't believe, you know.
Like, oh no. So yeah, it's tough.
It's not easy. Before I let you go, I was curious. What is sort of like the methodology or there's no one size fits all solution, but like close to that, for a player who is 1600 to make it to 2000, like what is the methodology of the dojo? Yeah.
So we all have our kind of own personal beliefs, like me, David Pruis, Jesse Cry, but basically we all kind of are on the same page on a couple of things. So playing like long time control games, like classical games, and then analyzing them very carefully without an engine, and only then maybe checking what the engine thinks after that. But doing the game analysis kind of like yourself and really trying to work through your mistakes. Also, like, I'm a big believer in sparring, just like practicing positions, especially like endgame positions. So like 15, 1600, like they have to know how to do Lucina and Philidor rook endgames like really, really well. And so I would always suggest like practicing those like basic rook endgames, basic king and pawn endgames.
Positional training too, like set up a position training game.
Like
okay.
from like a thematic like middle game position, I think that's super useful. In general, I feel like people just kind of need to play more and analyze more. I think people are kind of just, they're doing too much like opening work from what I see in general, and maybe like simple tactics. And it's like, if you want to improve your calculation, I think you really gotta work hard and try to improve it, right? Like you can calculate, 3 moves deep or 4 moves deep, but then things get fuzzy. Well, at some point, I think you have to like do the work and like really try to push yourself to like see deeper. Honestly, it's something I feel like I have to do. Like I feel like my calculation has been stuck at one level for a long time, and I really have to kind of push to kind of try to be able to see further. So I think, basically like just like kind of doing the hard work, over like simple tactics, blitz, and just kind of like repeating openings that people often end up doing.
That makes sense. The training games thing can be fun, like from positions, but speaking from experience, it's just laziness really that just gets in the way. Like what you have to do, you know what what you should do, what is kind of the necessary work. Sparring for sure, like getting like live action against the person your skill level, super important. And by the way, everything that you just kind of said, like none of that applies for beginners. I would just argue from the beginners that I've taught. I mean, you can try to, but it's a totally different ballgame. I mean, really there, it's like making sure that you have a barrel of knowledge and you just have no patches at the bottom. If you just like build that up, you'll be fine. You don't necessarily need to analyze games, in my opinion. Like you can, but those games are decided by 4 just snap of the finger mistakes. And the more you catch them and the less you do them, that's really what it is. I don't know what the cutoff is like for intermediate on ChessDojo,
we try to scale it down. I don't know. I do think even at like super beginner levels, I feel like game analysis is important. It just if it's as basic as like playing through the game and just looking at every one of your moves, and you just like notice like one point where you like hung something and then like not to do that next time. So it kind of scales up. So like for the beginners, I wouldn't say like you got to spend like 3 hours a game or anything like that, but it's just finding like 1 or 2 moments where like left the queen hanging, or the opponent made a threat and you didn't respond to it. I think that's where the progress can be made.
And like I like to do things like putting it in your own words. Like explain that move to me. Like explain, why you did that, or and then you can really get into the thought process.
Annotating the game I think is very, very useful.
Yeah. What you were thinking, what you saw, what you didn't see. It takes a lot of work. Really takes a lot of work. I don't know about you, and I've said this a lot because like we have a kind of similar trajectory in our chess. I mean, we both have been teaching. We both. I think if I learned chess during pandemic, I would hate it. Like, I think I would be I would not be able to learn the game as an adult. I don't know much about myself, like learning brand new things, but chess just seems. I'm so lucky to have learned it as a kid and have been involved since I was a kid, and to be able to like break it down for people. But man, I don't know. I really don't know if I would have the patience to.
Interesting.
I
haven't thought about this much. The main thing I think about is like, I wish I did more chess work as a kid. So I had a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, during the pandemic, I picked up Overwatch, which I know you play.
Not in like a year, man. It's been really nice.
Oh, good for you. But for me, that was kind of like a similar experience, like picking up a game as an adult, having like an ELO, looking up guides and stuff and trying to like looking for like tips to improve. And that kind of, I don't know, I think it helped me understand the mindset of like a chess improver a little bit.
How good did you get?
I think I surpassed my chess elo. I think I got to like 2600 on tank. So
me too. I think I was like 2780, 2800 maybe on Do you remember what I used to play?
Weren't you a Wrecking Ball player?
Yeah, people
Yeah, no,
hate
me too,
me.
actually. I love Wrecking Ball.
He's so fun.
He was so fun, actually. I remember like learning him, and it was like learning the King's Indian, actually, like learning a new character, like these different tricks. Super fun. Yeah, people hate me every other game. If we're losing, it's always Wrecking Ball's fault. Doesn't matter if I'm doing well, I'm doing badly. It's always my
Yep.
fault.
Yeah.
Always the scapegoat.
Man, I used to have those huge battles. I would when I made my Gotham Chess Overwatch account, like I couldn't say super vulgar stuff in response to people because my name is there, but I would always like be beefing, yo, Wrecking Ball, do something. I haven't died and I have 4 golds. Like, can someone do something else? It's always my fault. Yeah, it was. I stopped. There was a couple of days where I was in voice chat and I just got into arguments with people who just seemed awful, just like really just seemed like poisoned people. And I logged off and
very toxic.
Yeah, like, and I just was like, I'm done with this. Like, I just quit, like literally cold turkey.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that. It's just not worth it. A lot of times you're arguing with like a 13-year-old. I try not to get into it as much as I can. But it's tough. Yeah, people are. That's why I feel like the chess world is not that bad. Like sometimes people complain about like the chess community like being somewhat toxic, but then I don't know, compared to some of these other communities, like the Overwatch community, for me, not the whole community, but just like whenever I play, it's just like way worse, right? Because I think because of the team aspect, it's always got to be someone's fault.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, chess community has its bad actors, but I think it's it's definitely much worse in video games. I mean, it just drives people completely nuts. I think people are terrible everywhere, I think is a good note to end on. People are also very good.
Yeah, there's also great people everywhere. I just want to say there are tons of great people, the Overwatch community. And I even made some friends, just play with them a couple times, like you team up and they're cool people. So that's awesome. But yeah, I guess the moral is there's really mean people on the internet sometimes.
Well, I thought you were going to say the whole thing. I thought you were going to say there's good and there's bad, and that would make sense because the ChessDojo logo is a yin yang kind of, right? Isn't that?
That's true. Yeah.
That's what I thought we were setting up for, but.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, there are good and there are bad people.
Perfect. That's exactly what we like to hear. I really appreciate the time, man. I was excited to catch up.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
We haven't. I mean, I don't talk to many people. Period. Like outside of the show. So it was cool to catch up. I mean, I wish you all the best with kind of continued growth with ChessDojo and getting to 2,500, beating some more people with King's Indian, and I don't know, everything else. Overwatch 2.
Thanks. Yeah, likewise. Well, yeah. I hope. Are you gonna be playing sometime this year?
I'm playing I Am Norm Round Robin in July. Cool. Pretty strong I Am Norm Round Robin, so hoping to actually win that one. Last round, if I won the whole thing. If my opponent beat me, he got I Am Norm. So it was a good game, devastating game to lose, but I lost. I found a way. So, and yeah, I mean, hopefully this time I can like go in, good prep, good mindset, actually win this thing. But we'll see. And what about you?
Yeah, I'll be playing. I think I'm playing a GM Norm Round Robin end of July in Los Angeles, and then US Open right after that, beginning of August.
I almost went to the LA Round Robin.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but for the IM section.
Right.
And then I haven't gone yet. Sorry, I haven't. I was meant to say I was unable to go. Unfortunately, I don't know why I said I haven't gone yet. That would be preemptively going to a city to not play in a tournament. Doesn't make much sense. But I will go to LA for tourism probably.
Cool. Sounds like they're going to be running them hopefully regularly, so that will be very cool.
Oh, for you, that's really good, right? West Coast?
Super close. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. All right, cool, man. Well, I will let you know when the episode is out. And for now, I'll hit the stop recording button. As always, folks, if you made it this far, I want to say thank you for your continued support of my content on Twitch, YouTube, this podcast, and beyond. You know where to find me if you'd like to support me on all of the channels that I have just mentioned, as well as GothamChess.com, where I have some chess courses. We'll see you right back here in Gotham City with our next guest very soon.